Hey everybody, I'm Patrick.
I'm Bobby, and we're at A Politic Voice on Twitter, and we are Gays for Trump in Denver.
We are here today to give a clarification over all of our Twitter discourse that we have had on our backlash, our attacks, our so-called hate that we have against the gay community here on Twitter, on Periscope, etc.
We sent out a couple tweets kind of condemning the LGBT community as a whole for over-sexualizing and over-representing the gay community as an over-sexualized place to be. I feel like if you ask the question, what's the first thing that comes into your mind when you think LGBT? The majority of America out there will think of a sexual or an overly sexual image in their mind.
Exactly. And I mean, it goes down just spitting image of the Pride Parade. I mean, that's all you see there. You're going to get your couple of P-flag groups and the mayor walking down, but ultimately, all that you see are the parade floats with half-naked people on them, and it's unfortunate.
It's over-sexualized. And we are not condemning Pride, and that's the clarification we want to make. We are not trying to tell you not to be proud of yourself for who you are, or not to respect you for who you are. The Pride Parade is very important, and we didn't want to put anybody into make anybody feel uncomfortable about not being happy with themselves, because that's the last thing that we want to do. However, we are very, very strongly saying that it over-sexualizes us. It does not represent gay people as functioning units in society. As a whole, it quite literally detracts from that. It makes them look like sexual deviants. It makes us feel like when we talk to hardcore Christian conservatives, that's the first image that pops into their mind, is because that's how they see gay pride, and that's how a lot of people, even gay people, see gay pride. And we're just trying to speak out against that, and it has nothing to do with who you are.
And one thing that we want to touch on is the political aspect of it. A lot of people are attacking Donald Trump as our president because he does not put the LGBT group onto a pedestal and say, hey, do you know what, you're different and you need to have special rights like the left does. But if you notice, he also doesn't do that to Latinos. He doesn't do that to Asian Americans. He doesn't do that to any minority group out there, because he doesn't see us as minority groups. He sees us as Americans. And that's what our shirts represent. LGBTQ for Trump. It's not that we are overly prideful of being gays for Trump. It's our direct response to the left's identity politics. And that's one thing that we need to have the LGBT community open their eyes to, that they are voting on one issue and one issue solely, and that is the gay community.
Exactly right. And we wouldn't be wearing Gays for Trump shirts if it weren't for the left's identity politics. We would quite literally be wearing Americans for Trump shirts, because it shouldn't matter. Your sexuality shouldn't matter. And that's exactly what Trump represents to us. We support Donald Trump because he is trying to bridge the gap between all communities by by overcoming your difference, right? Identifying how you can overcome differences and come to one common goal. And for us, that's America first, putting our country first. And that is one of the most important things that we can ever speak out to anybody about. You know, I believe that you should stop looking at your sexuality as every single voting avenue that you do. Because you're a gay man, this is how you should vote, or this is how you should act. Sexuality is a very small component of the human condition, and I just really want to stress it's okay to think outside of the box. It's okay to think differently, and it's okay to respect people that disagree with you, which is something that the LGBT community does not do.
Exactly. And one thing that I want to make a huge comparison about is, back home we have an annual 4th of July parade, and every float, every parade float, every individual that's dressed up has a common theme, and that's America. America first. 4th of July, I mean, support America. You're going to get your occasional clowns in there, the high school bands, and the Shriners driving little cars. But at the end of the parade, you walk away thinking, wow, like, our country, our city loves our country. We have so much pride for our country. And it's completely different with the Pride Parade. You walk away from that thinking, wow, there's a lot of half-naked people.
Right.
What was their overall message? That they want to show off their bodies to everybody? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. And just, continuing on this avenue, in comparison with the 4th of July parade, which everybody walks away understanding what the theme is, you have this new Charlotte gay pride parade, right? I don't know if you've heard about it, but Charlotte, the city of Charlotte, just said that the Gays for Trump parade was not, or float was not allowed in the gay pride parade because of their belief systems. And this is just really disgusting for us. This is not equality. This is not acceptance. This is not tolerance. This is quite literally the opposite. And when we see so much hypocrisy, especially within the LGBT community, we're going to talk about it. And we're not going to shut up, and we're not going to sit down. I don't care if you disagree with those people. I don't care if you disagree with us. But you need to understand how important it is to have common discourse and to understand each other, even if you don't agree. That's the whole point of unity, right? Is you look past your differences.
Exactly.
That's what we've done. Gays for Trump, that's what we've done. We have bridged the gap. I feel like we have done a very strong reaching out to the Christian conservative community, and we have explained our side of things and promoted understanding and said, hey, look, you don't have to understand our sexuality, but can we at least fight towards a common goal? Can we at least look towards something that unites us rather than divides us? And that is the solution.
And that's one huge thing that I think the Gays for Trump float in the Charlotte, North Carolina parade could bring is discourse. You're going to get the all-out haters there that, they have their beliefs and they're never going to change, but you're going to get the group of people that are like, well, I thought this. Maybe I should go talk to them, and those individuals will go talk to the Gays for Trump float people, and they'll have conversation, and not everybody will walk away agreeing, not everybody will walk away understanding, but the people that do, they're going to go talk to their friends and say, hey, I found out something really interesting, and they're going to continue talking to other people, and it's going to help open up a lot of people's eyes.
But that's what our country was built on. A two-party system. We're always going to be at odds with each other because we're always going to be fighting for what's right? And I believe that there's a golden mean in there, right? You can be far left, you can be far right, whatever you are, but I believe that the truth is in the middle. And that's why our country is set up the way that it is. And we need to start understanding discourse and how to talk to each other and respect each other again, because that's lost. It's completely lost. And the only way that we're ever going to bridge the gap of equality or unity is by respecting each other. And right now, in the 2 years that we've been supporting Trump, it's not the fact that conservatives aren't respecting other people, it's the fact that the left has quite literally promoted this campaign of hate and intolerance and resistance to anything and everything that conservatives have to say. I don't know if it's an emotional thing, I don't know what it is, but it's quite literally the most detrimental thing to our democracy that I've seen in a very long time.
And that's a huge thing. It's just respect in general. You're not always going to agree with everybody. You're not going to agree with your boss. You're not going to agree with your parents, whatever it may be. But you respect them. You walk away thinking, all right, they have their thoughts, I have mine. And you leave it at that. And that's a huge thing that the LGBT community is unleashing right now, is lack of respect. Mm-hmm. And I mean, take it from the coming out people, the coming out stories. It's not a child coming out to their very Christian, conservative parents saying, hey, Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you. This is what's going on with my life. No, it's they take the shock and awe approach to it, and they throw it in their face, and they say, you have to accept me because I'm different. And if you don't, there's going to be problems.
And of course, we're not talking about everybody. Of course, we're not talking about everybody. But what we've seen, happen more frequently is that these coming out stories, or that whenever an LGBT individual approaches a Christian conservative, there is not mutual respect there. There is quite literally intolerance from the gay person, right? About, this is who I am, accept me, or you're a bigot. There needs to be mutual respect. And I think what we're trying to say is that a lot of the new age coming out videos are more about shock and awe. They're more about disrespecting other people regardless because that's how they feel good about themselves. But that just represents insecurity for me, and I think for a lot of people.
And that's, a huge thing that we've already touched on is they don't care who they're going to hurt in their path. It's all about them. And I understand, yes, put yourself first, but there are situations where you have to take other people's feelings, emotions into consideration. Exactly. And they don't do that. They say, do you know what? I'm different. I'm gay. I need to be treated equally. And if you don't, then there's going to be problems. yet they don't realize the fact that they're not treating the other person equally. Right. So it's not a two-way street for them. It's my way or the highway. Right. And it's very unfortunate that that's the approach that a mass majority of the LGBT community follows.
That's why we're always going to fight it. We're always going to be standing up against LGBT as a whole because of what it represents. It doesn't represent acceptance. And I think that that's just what we want to reiterate over and over and over again is learn to respect yourself, learn to respect each other, and maybe you can bridge a gap. Not everybody's going to agree with your lifestyle, not everybody's going to agree with any of your belief system, but that doesn't mean you can't find commonality. So I think the next point we want to talk about is answering some of the questions that we get from our haters, more specifically. And, you know, we've received a lot of hate on Twitter. I think being a conservative gay man that voted for Donald Trump is probably one of the biggest targets of the snowflake left. They really have a good time tearing us down because I think there's so much emotion there. But I think that we should just, you know, answer some of those questions. The first question is, what about Donald Trump? And he wants to take all your rights away. How could you vote for somebody that wants to take all of your rights away? When has that ever been the case? Donald Trump has always supported homosexuals, even before it was cool. You know, he was in the late 80s, early 90s, he was donating to AIDS research and gay men's health organizations when he didn't even have to. It didn't even benefit him in any way. The Wallman Rink in New York, you know, he took the profits from those and donated them to AIDS research societies, right? And, you know, in 2000, he spoke to the Advocate about, you know, having the 1964 Civil Rights Act be amended to include homosexuals. And I can go on and on and on. I can. And if you follow us on Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this demonizing of Donald Trump is just disgusting to me because what he's done is taken the traditional GOP and shattered it. He shattered the GOP. Conservatism is not dead, but the GOP is. And what I'm trying to say is that Donald Trump is redefining the GOP platform. So you can't just assume that everything that the GOP stood for beforehand is now what Donald Trump represents, because that is 100% false.
And I mean, it's the same thing that people are screaming that they've had their rights taken away. I want to find one individual who has had any of their rights taken away.
Tell me, what rights have you had taken away?
And I know the answer is going to be nothing,
right.
But they feel like their lives have been ruined because Donald Trump does not put them on the pedestal and say, hey, do you know what, you're different and you need to be treated differently. He doesn't do that. He's not going to do that. I don't think he ever will do that. So you need to move on from that right now.
The other question we get all the time is about religious freedoms. How can you support something like that? Well, it's quite literal. It's quite honest. Quite easy to understand. You are allowed to believe in your own belief systems, and you should be protected for your beliefs at all costs. Just because something is a religious liberty doesn't mean it's anti-gay. The only way it turns into anti-gay is when the people that wear homosexuality on their sleeve says, this affects me because I'm gay, and this is why. It really, honestly, has nothing to do with that. If you're upset about the Christian bakery, right, that wouldn't bake the cake for the gay couple, you have to understand, we live in a capitalistic structure. We have those freedoms, the right to refuse service to anybody. And that's okay. You're allowed to do that. Go to the next cake shop, or actually start up your own.
And did you really want the cake that badly? Was that really the world's best cake for you to have? Right. At the point where they said, no, we're not going to bake this for you, you took a personal vendetta out on this Christian bakery to ruin their lives. And again, these two gay individuals put themselves first, and they took no other people's consideration or feelings into consideration, and they ruined this Christian bakery. They ruined these individuals' lives who owned that, and they didn't care because they wanted to make a point. They wanted to say, hey, I'm gay, I'm different, you need to accept me, and if you don't, look at what I can do to you.
The question everybody should be asking is, why would a gay couple go into a very small town, very small Christian conservative bakery in the first place? They wanted attention. They wanted this story to blow up. They wanted the money. They wanted this to be a thing. That's the answer, okay? And that's not how we should be living. That's not what we should be doing. So if you're supporting Tom Ford not dressing Melania, you can't get upset about the cake thing. I guess we're going to leave it at that.
The next thing is people are screaming at us about why isn't Donald Trump declaring June Pride Month because, Obama did it and Clinton did it and et cetera, et cetera. Again, do you need the government to set aside a special month for you so that you can feel happy about yourself?
Feel good about yourself. It's not. Equality isn't dictated from the government. Equality doesn't come from the government. And if there's anything that I agree with Obama, not a lot, but there's one thing that I do agree with Obama on, and that is when he said the government did nothing in regards to gay rights. It was society that did something for gay rights. Society started it, and the government followed. And that's exactly the approach that we should be taking with everything, is that the people come first. The people run this country. It's common discourse, it's common respect that is going to shape the world around us. It's not politics, because politics are going to follow us.
And it goes back to the whole point of Donald Trump is not going to put you up on a pedestal. He's not going to declare a whole month for you, because that's not how he works.
Right. And, we get a lot of hate, and those are kind of the most common questions. So if you have any more questions, definitely hit us up. Definitely let us know, because we'd be happy to explain a little bit more about our beliefs, about our belief systems.
So I think just to kind of wrap everything up, there's a huge difference between how individuals accept each other, how they tolerate, and how they respect each other. And the LGBT community, again, they make themselves front and center every time, and it's their way or the highway. And if you don't agree with them, then you're wrong. You're the bigot. But as soon as they have an opposing idea against you, and you hear them out, but you rebuttal it, they're going to, again, attack you.
And they're going to use their identity politics to shame you. So it's because they're gay why they deserve to feel better about themselves. And we just see that a lot. And I want to wrap it up by saying this. We don't disrespect gay people in this country. If you got the rainbow hair, if you got the rainbow nails, you do you. You live how you want to live. I just want you to understand that the way you are representing functioning units in society is probably a little bit off. Maybe we can take a more comprehensive approach to understanding each other instead of shock and awe value. And maybe we can start talking more. And like I said, I don't want to shame anybody, but what LGBT represents as a whole right now is saying that gay people aren't necessarily functioning units in society. They are sexual deviants, or they're sexual beings, and let's just love having sex with everybody. I don't want to be represented that way, and I don't think anybody does.
Let's work together to look past our differences and find a commonality between everybody. This LGBT identity politics is dividing our country so hard and so fast, and until we're able to look past the differences and find a commonality between everybody, that is how America is going to truly be able to move forward.
And that will pave the way for true equality. True equality doesn't have the anger and the hostility and the vitriol. True equality quite literally has looking past each other's differences and accepting one another. So we hope you take this video to heart. We understand, we've been doing this for a long time, so definitely follow us at A Politic Voice, and we want to thank all of the people who have supported us, especially the people who might not have agreed with us at first, but have been supporters the whole time. We want to thank you especially. So, thank you.
We love you, everybody.
See you. Bye.
Bye.